Hello everyone, my name is Andrew. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back. I told you to be back next week, and I was correct. Yeah, turn on the ring light. Oh, let's not. Alright, so today I'm gonna be showing you guys my monthly wrap up for January. Now January, I'm not gonna lie, was a light month for me. I've only read 5 books, but this is when I started reading again, first of all. Let me clarify that. But let me just show y'all the little stack I have right here. 2 of these books were gifts from one of my coworkers. Love you, girl. Thank you so much for the books. Yeah, let me just go over each book and tell you guys my thoughts and my ratings on it. By the way, I have a Goodreads account, so if you want to follow me, I'll have a link below so that way you can see which books I'm currently reading. I believe it says I'm reading 3 books. That's a lie. If you want a sneak peek of when I'm reading books, you can just check my Goodreads account. Alright, so let's get to the first book I read in the month of January. I'm gonna sip a coffee first. I love coffee. If you don't know, then you know. So here is the first book I read, 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Now this book, if you don't know what this book is about, you are going for a journey. This book is really good. I really enjoyed this book. It's a YA romance, but it doesn't read YA, which I really appreciate. It's more mature than I thought it would originally be, considering it's a YA romance. It follows our 2 main characters, Rune and Poppy. So Rune moves to Georgia when he's a little kid because his dad had to transfer there for work. He moves next door to Poppy, and they grew up as childhood best friends. A couple years later, Poppy's grandmother passed away. These aren't spoilers, this legit happens like the first 2 chapters. Poppy's grandmother passed away, and she leaves this jar full of these little pink hearts, and Poppy fills out the hearts whenever she gets a kiss from any boy who makes her heart almost burst. In a way like that, she feels so much love for this person that her heart's about to burst, you know? Even if the love is so intense that way. Rune follows Poppy into the grove after she's been given the jar, and when he follows her and she explains what she's supposed to do with it, and Rune's like, I got you, girl, I got you, I'll give you 1,000 boy kisses if you want. He kisses her and she felt the joy, and they started dating basically ever since they were kids, but they don't make it official until like they're in high school. But then Rune has to move away because his dad got transferred again. This is like when they're 16, I think. So Rune moves. He hates his dad now. Basically, he has a bunch of anger built up because, you know, he has to leave the girl that he loves. Poppy then cuts contact with him completely, which is up. So she cuts contact with him, and then he has to move back eventually because his dad has to go back. So Rune is kind of a completely different person. He's more of a bad boy now. He hates everything and everyone. He smokes and all that. He finally confronts Poppy on why she didn't want to talk to him anymore, and the reason is so sad. Oh my god. So I'm not going to tell you the reason because that's a spoiler for it. When I tell you, this book almost made me cry, I'm being so serious. This is a really good book. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like this is the book that really did get me out of my reading slump. I did read 1 book before this, like in November or December, I think, and that was Tender is a Flesh, which is intense. This book is great. I gave this one 4 stars. It's a really fast read. It's a short book. It's like less than 300 pages, I think. I read through it pretty quickly. I think it's very digestible and easy to follow along. And the moments in this book is very tender and sweet and so romantic. It's just a very touching story. There's a sequel coming up that follows Poppy's sister after the events of what happens in this book, like a couple years after. Did I pre-order that book? You bet your ass I did, because I freaking love this book. So I really do recommend this one if you're looking for something a little bit more emotional than the standard like rom-com. I think this is a good type of book to read. Yeah, it just follows true love. Who doesn't love true love? Come on now. So this next book is one of the books that my coworker gave to me. She gave this to me for Christmas actually, and that is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. It's Britney Spears. I love Britney Spears. She's an icon. She's a legend. She is a moment, you know, that type of thing. I can tell this book is not written by her, but the story itself, very emotional, very raw, very intimate. The things that this woman had to go through because of her family is so fucked up beyond compare. This woman has been through some shit by her family and by the media itself. You really do get a detailed perspective on what Britney had to go through during her years of the conservatorship and her huge falling out with the paparazzi because of her relationship with Justin Timberlake. I almost said Justin Bieber. Wrong, Justin. This book recounts a lot of childhood stories about her family and the way she grew up and how basically once she made money, she started taking care of her family as soon as she was like 19 years old. You really do get the details of how her family took advantage of her at such a young and vulnerable age and how they did nothing to protect her. Basically, they did not care about her that much, and it shows. This book was very emotional as well. I don't know what it is about emotional books, but they just get to me. I did not rate this book. I'm not gonna rate a woman's story or anyone's story that's a memoir. How am I supposed to rate someone's true life experience? Regardless, I think it is a great book. I don't think it's written by Britney Spears. Maybe she just told a story and someone just wrote it down. It does include parts of her story where she had to go through rehab facilities that her father made her go through, which is up. Like, if you don't know anything about Britney Spears' story, this is a good book to get an understanding of it. But yeah, this book is good. I really enjoy this. This next book I have is the first book in a series. I started the book 2 weeks ago when I bought it. I finished it the next day after I bought it. I legit read this book in 2 days. But also because I had other stuff I was doing both those days. If I didn't have to do any of that, I would have finished the book in one day. This book is that good. And this is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I freaking love this book. Okay, this is an adult romance. There is spice in this book. And when I tell you the spice, there's a lot in detail. This series is good. I really like this book. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows Rhett Eaton, I think. Eaton. So it follows Rhett, who is a professional bull rider, and his agent's daughter, Summer Hamilton. Rhett has some issues with the press at the moment because he decided to punch a cameraman who was interrogating him about why he doesn't like milk. Yeah. His agent forces his daughter to like basically babysit him and try to make sure he does the right thing. No fooling around with strangers, no fighting news anchors or anything like that. Basically just try to be the perfect professional bull rider. In order for her to do that, she has to move in with him. So it's kind of like forced proximity and enemies to lovers type of deal. I ate this shit up. This book is really good, really entertaining and fun, fast paced, and the banter between them got me kicking my feet. All the good things that you want from a romance book. Yeah, you get it with this book. I like this book so much. Legit, while I was on my weekend away with Gina, the day after, like on Sunday, I believe, like the day after I bought this book, I bought the second one. Regardless, I really love this book. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really recommend this one if you want to know about why cowboy romances are so popular. This book is one of the reasons why. Alright, so the next book I read is Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. So this is my first Rebecca Ross book. I wanted to read Divine Rivals, but I'm like, do I really want to spend $19 on a hardcover at Barnes & Noble right now? So I'm gonna pick that up later in the year, maybe like in March. But I did end up picking up one of her books because I do want to read her writing style to see how it is, to see if I even like it. If you don't know what this book is, it follows Halcyon and Evadne. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these right. And Halcyon is a soldier in the Queen's army, and Evadne is just a simple farm girl basically who works with her dad, her family. They're sisters, Halcyon and Evadne. Halcyon is returning from 8 years of basically serving in the military. And so when she returns, like she comes in secret to Evadne in their room because they used to share a room together, and she basically confesses that she's being chased down because she committed a crime, which it says on the back of the cover, so I'm not spoiling anything. She committed murder. I won't tell you who because that's part of the plot. She's basically just on the run in the beginning, and then she ends up being caught by the captain of her platoon, basically, who she looks up to as a father figure. So then Evadne and her family go to the trial and all that, and she's convicted of 15 years of 3 different things. 5 years in the quarry, which is like the prison workers, 5 years in solitary prison, 5 years of serving the captain's family. Evadne has the bright idea basically take half of her sentence. That's what she originally was gonna do. The judge grants that, but she, instead of taking half, she's only gonna serve 5 years for the captain's family. When she does that, she discovers her sister has been working with the captain for a specific task. And that task is to basically save their kingdom. Duh, it's a fantasy book. And yeah, so that's basically like the plot of it. Just the gist of it. I'm leaving out a bunch of details. But it's just a fun fantasy read. It's one story, so it's not a whole series. And it's YA. So this is like a very easy to understand type of fantasy world. The magic system is a little weird, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I should say it or not, but for me it's a little... It's kind of funny how it works, but it works in this book. I don't think it's the best fantasy book I've ever read. I do think the writing is very good. It's easy to digest and follow along to, and it's just entertaining overall. And that's why I give this book 4 stars. Realistically, I'll probably give it like a 3.75. Let me round up to 4 because I'm generous. But this is just a fun fantasy read. It's quick, fast-paced. There is some romance in here, but it's like a subplot. Like, to be honest, it doesn't really relate anything to the main plot at all. I wouldn't say it's pointless, but it's there if you want it. I wouldn't go into this book thinking it's a romance book when it's not. If anything, it's just about the relationship between the sisters. They kind of grew up differently in a way, and how their bond together, makes them stronger. It's fun. It's a fun read. This is my first Rebecca Ross book, and it won't be the last. I did like her writing style, so I'm really excited for Divine Rivals now and Ruthless Vows. I don't know when I read those books, but I'll pick them up soon. Probably buy them on Amazon because it's cheaper that way. Alright, so this last book is the last book that my friend gave me. She gave this to me like in, I want to say October. And that's Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you already know my thoughts on Colleen Hoover. But I just wanted to read it because my friend really loved this book, and she gave me the book because she bought the collector's edition. I'm like, sure, I'll take it off your hands. I will say I understand why people like this book, especially if they don't read thrillers. But to me, this doesn't read like a thriller. It doesn't. It reads like a romance book, which is what Colleen Hoover is primarily known for. Overall, not my favorite. I will say I like this better than her other works that I've read. A lot better than November 9 and a lot better than Ugly Love. But I will put this on par with It Ends With Us. I understand why this one's popular. It's quick, fast-paced. It is very vulgar and graphic in a way. It's a lot of spice, but not like in a passionate way. It's there just because. And I think that's why it adds to the shock value of this book, because the antagonist in this book does some up shit, and the twist in this book very predictable. I saw it coming. It's fine. So if you don't know the plot of this book, it follows Lowen, right? Yeah, Lowen Ashley, who is an author, and she's having some financial struggles. She's having some financial struggles. She gets contacted by her agent saying there's a potential deal going on, so she has to go to a meeting. She ends up meeting this mysterious man after some things happen, but she doesn't know that she's writing for this famous author Verity. That's her name, Verity Crawford, who happens to be this man that she just met wife. So it's all interconnected that way. She accepts because she needs the money. She's desperate for that cash. I don't blame her. We all are. So she meets up with him at his house. She ends up staying there for like a couple weeks or so, I think. Lowen is there trying to find some notes that she might have for the rest of the series on what she wants to continue with it. But as she's there, she discovers this manuscript that is supposed to be the autobiography for Verity. And that is basically the plot of it. It just tells you the story of all the tragedies that has happened to Verity and her husband, and how Verity dealt with it, basically. There's a twist at the end, which I said is kind of predictable. But I do understand why people like it. It is an entertaining book. Don't get me wrong. I was pleasantly entertained. I read it quickly. It was fine. It's not great. I do think this is one of Colleen Hoover's better books. And for that reason, I give it around 3 stars. I would say like 2.5-ish stars, because it is better than her other books that I've read. But will I be reading another Colleen Hoover book? I don't know. I think her writing's not for me personally. I understand why people like her. Her writing's very easy to follow along. So those were the 5 books that I read in the month of January. Granted, it was like late January when I started reading those. But yeah, so those were the 5 books that I read. If you read any of those books, let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments and what you think about them. Always happy to know what you guys think about things. And if you like this video, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below so that we can keep up with me every week now, because I'm so excited. Yeah, that's it. And I will see you guys next week with a brand new video. That's it. 5 books. That's not bad. I'm kind of happy with that. I ate. Like, okay. Period. Bye.